There we go. We are now live on the air and getting ready to do the Z Trigger podcast. If you are watching us right now, we're just getting set up, so give us a moment. Testing things out. Subscriptions. Live at this very moment. Testing things out. Hear that, Brandon?
Yeah.
That's our stream. All right. So now that is streaming, we can start the show. I'm going to let you kick us off tonight. Sound good?
Okay.
All right.
I'm trying to find the stream. If I can find it. Is it not on Facebook?
Oh, I got to actually post it to Facebook. We're streaming on YouTube, so.
Oh, so you've dropped Twitch like a bad habit.
Damn right I did. Do you know why?
Because YouTube is easier?
Yes.
And YouTube actually saves your videos indefinitely?
Yes, it does.
And doesn't delete them after a certain period of time. Why do people use Twitch? Because it's just a known factor, and
yeah, it's a bigger audience, I think, for live streaming anyway. But a lot of people I watch regularly, but not watch for like Let's Plays, are on YouTube rather than Twitch.
it's because they're all on YouTube anyway. I honestly, there's quite a few people that make their money on YouTube but do not use YouTube for their streaming, when most people just go to their YouTube channel to watch their stuff.
Yeah,
really weird.
We are getting our little bit of YouTube commentary in the early part of our YouTube live, our very first YouTube live stream. So I'm copying the link over to Facebook. You want to get that over on the Z Trigger page as well? My computer is extra slow when I'm doing all this stuff, by the way. I promise we're going to get started here in a second, folks.
Liar! Yes, the audio is actually working.
Yep, sure is. Alright. I am ready, so I'm just waiting on you to to kick off the show and start the recording on your side.
My typing is low. Okay, so you ready for me to start?
Yeah, let's do this.
Okay. Actually, I need to turn down the audio so it doesn't feed back and over and over
You
again.
don't want that. That random, like, crashing sound you may or may not hear is my washing machine trying to come downstairs.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Did you just interrupt me?
I wasn't trying to.
Okay, now I gotta start all over again. Man, trying to talk. That is a very ugly motherfucker.
Ain't he just?
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another episode of the Z Trigger podcast. I am with you today. My name is Brandon Harris.
My name is William Hill.
And we are here to deliver another exciting week of gaming news, which one of these I'm actually quite excited to actually learn about. The fact that Nintendo may actually give us something that's sort of not Nintendo-like, as Kotaku like to put it.
Do we want to get into the fun? Do we want to get into stuff that exciting right out the gate?
No. First, we're going to talk about the boring stuff. What have you been playing, sir?
I've been playing quite a bit this week, actually. Right out the gate, I have finally started my run on I Am Setsuna. which I got in last week before our podcast, but I had not had a chance to really, try out yet. And I've got about 5 or 6 hours on it. I'm about a third of the way through the game, though.
Yeah, see, it don't take long.
It is very short. I'm not. It's really weird, though. Let me see if I can explain this in a way that makes sense. I'm not disappointed by its length yet, because if you took out the grind from a lot of the earlier Square role-playing games, they would be incredibly short. Also,
yes, to a degree. Some of them were, even like 6 was story-wise was pretty long.
Yeah, no, that is one that I could say is longer. But if you took the grind out of Final Fantasy 1, it would be about 5 hours long.
Oh, God, yeah. But that didn't really have much of a narrative.
You're right. It didn't. Final Fantasy 4, though, is a terrible, terrible example. Because it's kind of bloated to a certain extent. I love Final Fantasy 4, but it's got some... let's think of the nice way of saying this. Extra content.
Yeah, I mean, how many times did you go back to the what was it? The Underworld, the Underdark? What's it called?
Better question. You go through the Babel Tower like 2 different ways, and then the Babel Giant is just the Babel Tower in the form of a robot.
Robot.
Yeah.
God, you could tell it's been a long time since I played that game because I don't remember that at all.
Oh man, how do you remember how do you forget the Babel monster?
Because I've only ever beaten the game once.
I've only ever beaten it once.
So I've only been to that spot once, and it's been so long that I don't remember. Now, if you want to have a conversation about 6, I can remember that shit all day long. I guess it's just I like 4, but it's not, when it's ingrained in my memory like some of the others.
Right. I get that, because it's not as good as 6. 4 is an excellent game overshadowed by the successes of its sequels. Except for its direct sequels, which are not very good.
Which, to be fair, that's what's supposed to happen.
Right.
You're supposed to outdo yourself. Which, that doesn't always happen, but, it's what's supposed to happen.
Right. No, I've got a lot of fond memories of 4 because it was, in many ways, the first Final Fantasy I put a lot of time into. I remember getting the Super Nintendo cartridge from our buddy Gabe. I still need to give you that game back, Gabe. If I ever see you in a situation where I remember to bring it, I will give it back to you. If you want it back. If you don't, man, I'll keep it and keep it nice, safe, and sound. I was going somewhere with this, wasn't I? And I put in a lot of time, and I remember the first time I played through it, I got stuck as soon as you get into the underground. Do you remember that? Because you were like, Brad, you're the right level, but you're dying in this fight that you're not supposed to win. How are you doing that? It's like, I don't know. Do you remember this?
No. You know what? You know one thing that does stick out in my mind?
What's that?
Is that fucking cave.
Oh,
with that fucking piece of shit with the metal stuff. You're just like, oh, you can't use your swords or armor. And beyond that, the guy he can easily one-shot you. And
the Dark Elf boss fight.
I fucking hate that boss. And that's the only thing that prevents me from ever actually going through the game again, because I have such a hard time with that section that if I do get through it, by the time I do, I'm just so fed up with it. I'm like, I don't want to play this anymore.
Brandon, I do want to point out that the version of the game that you've gone through that on is literally the hardest version of Final Fantasy IV. And that's the DS port.
I've done it to the Super Nintendo version too, but it's still...
Whenever I did it on... Because I've been on and off playing a run of the PSP port, because it's got the pretty graphics that they did for the PSP remakes of 1 and 2. Mm-hmm. And I thought that it was a breeze in the PSP port.
I don't think I actually played... I had that one, but I haven't played that one.
I'm a little jealous because you have the actual copy of it. I have the digital release, and it's a beautiful release. It's a shame. And I've been putting off actually doing the interlude and after years sequels because I wanted to do the original game one more time and then go into the sequel content. I don't know if I'm ever going to get there because I'm under-leveled for the final dungeon, and the final dungeon is long as hell. It's enjoyable to a certain extent, but there's like 15 bosses, and they all give you a special weapon, but you have to earn the hell out of it, and it's not an easy game in the end. Even if I don't have trouble with the bosses, I'm still going to be in an issue where, oh look, I'm out of MP again, and I need to heal all of my characters because I got butt fucked by one of the numerous horrible monsters that are in this cave that lasts for 12 floors. So that's the one thing I can say that they improved on, is their final dungeon design has gotten better over the years. In places, man, we're talking Final Fantasy hard. But they did like 10's final dungeon's pretty good, I would say.
Yeah, I don't remember having a problem with that.
9 has a long but exciting final dungeon. 7 has has a pretty good final dungeon. 6 has an
fairly short.
Dungeon. Yes, it does. It is. Whenever you
7's really short. When you really think about it, it's very, very short.
Yeah, it's like what, 12 rooms?
If that, yeah, something like that. And they're not long rooms either.
No. I mean, 8 would technically be short if it wasn't so bleeding hard to go through and find all the different bosses, because they are pretty well hidden with all the puzzles and stuff. But then you get into things like Final Fantasy 12. Final Fantasy 12's final actual dungeon part, where you actually fight the final boss, is short. I spent maybe 20 minutes in the final area before I fought the final boss. But the lighthouse or whatever it was that's right before it, you know, the spot where you ended your game. As
bad as I didn't even attempt it yet, and it's supposed to be long as hell.
I think it took me hours. Several hours. Because if I recall correctly, you literally go through about 100 floors of
that's ridiculous.
Dungeoning.
That's so much damn padding. It's pathetic.
I don't even know how to how to describe my experience with that dungeon other than it wouldn't end. I think I started at like 9 o'clock that night, or 9:30 that night to finish the game, and I was up till 4 in the morning. What were you playing that night? Because that was still when we were still living together. I don't remember what you were playing. But you sat there.
Playing?
You were playing a game on either your computer or your PSP.
The hell if I remember. That was a long time ago.
Yeah, it has been a long time ago. I remember a few times where we would do that, though. Another one that I remember fondly was when I finished the Zelda game for the DS. Phantom Hourglass. That one. So, since I'm still commandeering the conversation of what I've been playing one other game I did want to talk about, because I've also played some of the Street Fighter port for the Switch, which it's certainly Street Fighter 2, which means it's really damn good. It's probably my favorite way to play Street Fighter 2 yet. And I'll get into that next week. But the game,
I'm guessing there was a demo?
No sir.
So you've already bought it? I
got it in trade from my seller this morning.
Oh, okay, so you did get something. How much did they give you for that thing?
$43.
Wow.
I gave him a deal because, one, I wanted to move it, and two, I wanted to give back since I didn't technically pay for that copy. So anyway, but I have it now, and I'll talk more about it next week. But the game I've spent the most time playing in the past week, and anybody who's listening to this show can laugh like hell at me for this. I've been playing Mario's Picross on my 3DS, and this is a virtual console release of an old Game Boy game. Do you know what Picross is, Brandon?
You make pictures based on numbers and where to put little...
Yeah. And Mario's Picross is a punishing, like, every time you make a mistake, it takes several minutes off of your timer that you have to finish the puzzle by. So I think it's after 5 mistakes. No, it's after 4 mistakes. You've pretty much lost. And it's easy to make mistakes. This version of the game, this version of Picross comes with 128 puzzles. I have 2 left. And I don't think I've ever been so enthralled by a DS game in quite some time, and that's kind of ridiculous. But it just goes back to show, how much a good puzzle game can completely steal my brain for a long time. Alright, Brandon, I've talked enough about what kind of games I've been playing, but you have not told me the games you've been playing this week.
That's because I've been trying to think about what have I been playing this week.
I know you and I played some Star Wars Battlefront last night, but...
Yeah, we played Battlefront.
That doesn't count so much.
I am on the verge of saying that has been my gaming for this week.
Oh, lame, man. Have you been reading? Has it been like a heavy reading week for you or something?
Sort of. Honestly, this week's sort of been a blur. I don't quite remember a lot of it. But I definitely didn't do a lot of gaming. The fact that when you got me to play Battlefront, that was the first time I cut on my PS4 in a couple of weeks. But though for other reasons, the power supply was being a dick again.
Oh no.
But no, I haven't really. This is
genuinely upsetting to me because you were supposed to have finished Final Fantasy 15 by now, so we could talk about the ending.
No, I have not finished 15. I don't know. I don't know what it is. I'm just never in a rush to finish any of these games for some reason. It's like, oh yeah, I could play. I could also sit here and watch TV and watch movies. Oh, I know what it is. Monday, I watched Alien, so that took care of my Monday.
That's a good reason to not play video games, watching Alien.
Yeah. And Tuesday I read, and Wednesday I read, and Thursday night I read and then played Battlefront.
So tell me, Brandon, how was your Battlefront experience?
I fucking suck at the game. I can't get engrossed into the Battlefront, or the Battlefield rather, formula of first-person shooters. The maps to me they aren't fun. They're just so massive that I don't care to sit there and try and learn them because I don't feel that you can. You probably can, but I'm like, I don't care to.
You say that you maybe can't. I can't either, and I want to because, for example, there's a map that I kind of wanted to buy the game for, and that was the Bespin maps because they actually did a carbon freeze chamber level, and that is one of my favorite works of production design in a film ever. I just between the lighting and the staging of it, I think that the carbon freeze scene in Empire Strikes Back is stunning. It's a beautifully shot scene in the movie, and the fact that they made a faithful adaptation of the entire Bespin scenery in that game, it kind of took me back to my childhood when I was playing Super Empire Strikes Back on the NES, except Super Empire Strikes Back is a game that I enjoy a lot more because as hard as it is, it's more rewarding for me to play by myself, Mm-hmm. So I want to learn the Carbon Freeze map because it's just a cool map, but it doesn't have... It has first-person shooter logic to its level design, which means that it's kind of designed to get you in a circuitous route.
Yeah.
I feel like that's... I don't know enough about first-person shooter game design to say this for certain, but I can say that it seems to me like it's designed to be like a circle. Everything has to keep you on a circuitous, there we go, route, so that you're funneling players into the same flow, and it's always harder for me to find the secrets that are supposed to be on the map, like the hero tokens and so on and so forth,
mm-hmm.
that make the game more fun,
Yeah.
But I'm looking and I'm trying to figure it out, but like you said, it's so hard to see the forest for the trees, I think is the
and
the way to put it.
and most of my that's why Call of Duty is it's always just been easy. Call of Duty and Halo, uh, especially when it comes to Call of Duty, because the maps there are some like quote unquote larger maps, but still they're fairly small, and you could learn the layout of a map just by going around the edge of the map and staying out there and running around it, and you can learn quite a bit from doing that.
Like Blood Gulch.
I can't.
Original.
Yeah, I can't.
I still remember Blood Gulch.
Yeah, I can't do that with Battlefront. Mostly because I can't really tell where the edge is, because the moment you keep going, it never stops you until it's like you're going away, you're running from the battle. You turn around.
It's like, really? It seemed like I was still there. Like it was doing that whenever we were doing that mission, that survival level last night.
Yeah, and that was probably the most fun I've had with it, was doing that.
Yeah, that was fun, and also you're still a space racist. For what you say about the Mon Calamari.
But yeah, so I'm glad I didn't spend a lot on the game. And it pretty much is one of those things that unless you're getting me to play, I'm probably never going to play.
Well,
that does not speak well for the sequel, even with a single player. It'll probably be another cheap buy.
I'm gonna keep my eyes open on like reviews for the sequel. It's not gonna be a game I'm gonna pre-order though. And yes, I know pre-order culture is evil and all that, but I pre-order games because I'm poor, and it allows me to.
I'm fairly sure it'll get good reviews. Most of them do.
I'm gonna look for reviews from people who criticize the first one harshly. How about that? And base my purchase on the quality of the single player content. How about that?
Oh man, you're really getting destroyed in this game.
Yes, I am. I'm doing a very bad job. I am not good at Mario Kart. If anybody's watching this stream, yes, I know. Get good, bro. Whatever. Isn't that what the kids say? Since we're like old as shit.
Yeah, that is what they say. It usually is when people are talking about Dark Souls.
Well, I mean, I can't get good at Dark Souls. There's a reason I don't play that on a stream. Oh man, Dark Souls. A game that I wish I could enjoy. Maybe someday. Yeah, they are. And I'm glad that they are. They follow a design philosophy and a world building style that people seem to enjoy. Not this people, but some people. There's other games I could play that I can actually finish and have a good time with, and it won't take me 600 hours to finish. Which is something that I find a little bit appealing about shorter games these days. Like, 'cause I have so many role-playing games that are going to take me an eternity to finish.
Yeah, I know that feeling.
Which is why I'm excited about, and how's this for a transition, the latest title announced by Tokyo RPG Factory, Lost Sphere.
You don't know that's going to be short.
That's true, I don't know that it's going to be short. They may actually go for proper Super Nintendo RPG length with that one.
Which, did you read what they're changing the battle system from I Am Setsuna a little bit?
Yeah, they're doing an active time battle 2.0 and allowing you to change positions on the battlefield.
Yeah, though, I'm wondering, like, is that really going to matter? Because, games did that back in the day, but it didn't actually do anything. It just allowed you to move around the battlefield to make you feel special.
I could see it being a situation where it is important. I've got a few games in mind where you do actually have to change spots to avoid, like mega attacks. I'm trying.
My only problem with that, though, is you're trying to go for a retro feel, and that having it actually impact the game isn't exactly retro.
That's true. You're right. I want to see it in execution, I think, so I can determine whether or not they're staying true to their Super Nintendo roots or what have you.
But I mean, I guess nothing said that they were like tied down to do those styles. They were just made to create RPGs.
Yeah, they're specifically trying to do Japanese role playing games well, and you can
and that is still Japanese. I mean that style is still Japanese.
Yeah, you don't see American studios trying to do turn based anymore, which they did in the late '90s. Don't let them fool you.
Well, that's because
it was so big. Yeah. I can think of two right now: Anachronox and Septerra Core. I've played Septerra Core. I've not played Anachronox. However, the story for this one sounds a little more original. I'm not trying to criticize the story as of this point yet. I know you want me to get to a point in I Am Setsuna where we can talk story. I will in time. But I feel like the basic plot for Lost Sphere is more original in terms of what it's going to try and do than I Am Setsuna. Because I Am Setsuna is in many ways a lot like Final Fantasy X.
Sort of.
It's sort of like Final Fantasy X. It's got a lot of the things in common with it about a sacrifice being sent off to be killed so that monsters aren't a problem. Although in that game it was one great big Godzilla monster. And in this one, I don't know, other than little penguins and such. Which, speaking of, before I get into the plot of Lost Sphere, did you notice that the little penguin guys are back in this trailer?
No, I honestly, I don't think I'm trying to remember how much I paid attention.
I did, because they're in there, and I get the feeling that they're going to be a mascot monster, sort of like, like
they could be, because they got that cute factor going on.
Yeah, they
for
do.
them, I guess.
Which I have no problem with Japanese games doing that. To a certain degree, every Japanese role playing game series should have their mascot monster like that. Like the Disgaea games have the Prinny penguins. And they're obnoxious and kind of dumb, and I think they're hilarious a little bit because they don't make sense and they explode. I was going somewhere with that, but also the slime and Dragon Quest, chocobos and bombs and cactars and moogles and so forth for Final Fantasy. They all need one, Final Fantasy just happens to have like 6.
Yes, they need merchandise.
That's right. So. At some point, they're going to have stuffed penguins. Even though you mass murder penguins in the game.
Yeah, you do.
There's so many penguin fights. It's ridiculous. Now, the story, like I said, it's a little bit different, and I kind of like the interesting concept. I think it's an interesting concept that in this world, places exist because of memories, specifically. And at the beginning of the game, the main character wakes up and his entire hometown is gone. His mom is a cloud of mist.
Is it because they forgot?
Somebody forgot, yeah, apparently. And
so we're now taking another aspect of Final Fantasy X and turning it into a game.
People love Final Fantasy X, man. Although this sounds more interesting this sounds like a pretty interesting execution of that concept from Final Fantasy X. And again, I think it sounds like a cool idea because the maps and such are like white cloudy spaces until you've like recovered the memories, and then you can explore the whole space. Or at least that's the feeling. That's the feeling I get off the trailer.
That's interesting. That's kind of dark cloudy.
Yeah, it is, isn't it? I really dig the idea. I think that this is going to be a thing to pay attention to. Now, another thing I want to point out is that they're actually doing a physical release in the United States.
Yes, I think because we rose a big enough fuss that they're like, oh, okay.
Yeah, I bitched enough in their corporate Facebook page, saying, hey, I'd buy this game for $40 if it was on a cartridge. And then I bought it on a cartridge for $58.
Yep, see, you could have gotten that money, but no.
Square Japan got it instead from a third-party seller. Oh, man. I have no shame over having spent that money, though. Even if the game doesn't turn out to be Final Fantasy IV good. I was about to say 6, but I can count on one hand the games that are that good. So, we'll see. It's going to be one that I watch.
It said early 2018, right?
Yeah, it's oh, and we didn't mention the thing that's actually really irritating about that physical release, and that's that you have to buy it exclusively from Square's website.
Oh, yeah.
I'm glad that they at least, listened and followed the demand, but I wish they would not force all the people who follow their products to buy crap from their website. I know that GameStop's not the greatest thing in the world. They're kind of one of the worst, but I still like the fact that I can pay for my stuff over time there, and there's no issues whenever it comes time to go buy the game. I like that. I don't have to wait for shipping. I can just drive to the store and pick up my game, if
Square does it right, you should get it day of release, because you can,
Brandon, I want to
ship things a little early.
Brennan, what did you just say? Square do it right?
Well, yeah, I mean, they are, they could certainly do that if they wanted.
They have the potential to do that, but I don't know. Square has the best of intentions sometimes. Sometimes.
If you say so.
Sometimes. Hey, sometimes. And
sometimes, most, no.
And then sometimes they shut down IO Interactive without explaining anything that's going on.
That sounds like Square.
I still want to know what the story on IO Interactive is.
They didn't make enough money, so you're going bye-bye.
That's pretty much, that's pretty accurate statement that you get there, Brennan. Oh, it's a shame. That one is. However, I don't know if we talked about this last week on the show, because it was last week, and time has been flying in the video game world, getting closer to E3. Did we get the news about all of the development staff being shifted back into Square for the Final Fantasy VII Remake?
That was this week.
Yeah, that's what I thought. I wanted to make sure before we got into this that they have now finally disconnected from all of the exterior studios, and all of the development on Final Fantasy VII's remake is going to be handled in-house rather than by... I know CyberConnect 2 would have been one of the studios that would have worked on it, because they've worked on a lot of the recent Final Fantasy material. Like 13 and 13.2 have worked by CyberConnect. And I think that the abomination known as Lightning Returns was also done by them, in part.
I didn't really know they were using outside studios to help.
Well, they're not even. It seems like they're just houses to lay down code more than anything else.
Which, honestly, with that in mind, and the fact that your release schedule is fucked as it is,
3 years.
That's pretty damn sad. Okay. But in combination of that, they're doing like a mass hiring for. So it's not like it's that big of a deal. They just want to have quicker results among changes and not having to communicate with another studio. They just communicate with themselves. It's much quicker.
Yeah, which makes sense. I don't know why they would go for outside help like that anyway. It's that thing where like Ubisoft,
probably cheaper.
Ubisoft does that crap, but Ubisoft has also built their entire corporate practice around that. That's how they get games out each year. Square doesn't even get games out each year in the same way.
No, it's probably just cheaper. It was probably much cheaper.
Maybe, but quality is an important thing too.
Well, the graphical quality has never been a problem.
Well,
the only thing that's ever actually been an actual major problem
has been
their story writing, and that's all in-house.
Yeah, they need to fire a lot of writers. So, That said, because we had a lot of conversation about this with the announcement of Lost Sphere. So Lost Sphere is the second title from Tokyo RPG Studio, and that's in the span of 2 years since they were announced as an in-house brand by Square Enix, hired entirely to make Japanese role-playing games. Their second game will have come out 3 years after the studio's opened. I see that as a small studio actually being more efficient at making games because they keep everything to a small team in-house, and they're actually managed well. Yet then you have the corporate bloat of mainline Square releases.
See, my problem and is they've not been together that long, and I just can't believe that a team has come together that quickly. I mean, when you look at the time frame when Square was at their peak with the early titles and releasing them, every couple of years, the team had been together for a very long time at that point. They had a head who was basically a visionary and knew what he wanted, knew where he was going, and not just throwing assets together. This team was created by Square. The studio was created by Square a few years ago. They forked out a game, and now all of a sudden they're forking out another game. Now I can't. It is hard to believe that they are so all their minds are together on this, and they're just that damn good already.
We see, there's the benefit of a small team, because you got to think that 2 people wrote I Am Setsuna. So if you have a decent level of communication within your studio and your director and your writers are working well together, they can make that game fairly fast, especially since they're not making their own engines, they're using Unity. And that also, decreases production time, because people use Unity all day long to make games, usually really bad ones.
Yeah.
But that's not a judgment against Unity. That's a judgment against, asset flippers and people like that. Because they made their own assets for I Am Setsuna. I Am Setsuna is a lovely looking game. I dare you find somebody who doesn't think that it's at least a visually appealing game. Although you do have people who think the fact that it's always snowing is terrible.
Well, it's the area.
Yeah.
It just happens to be a snowy area.
How dare you suggest, Brandon, that this place has its own ecology?
I mean, I definitely never had a problem with that. They're very proud of their snow effects.
Oh man, their snow effects are beautiful. We were looking at that tonight. I actually, because I'm capturing footage for a discussion of the stuff that we've talked about in terms of criticizing the game, and I actually put a note in my capture notes saying that I got a spot in there where I drew patterns in the snow walking around because it was just so cool that the snow effects are that intensive on the screen. There's some love put into those snow effects, So I would give them the benefit of the doubt at this stage. They've only got the one game out. I'm not saying that they are just, nailing it and going to have a great future. But this was their first game. I'm going to let flaws be what they are and try their new one. I think that at this point they deserve that much at least. Because, again, they are new, and eventually, since they are all kind of young and doing this sort of out of passion, because they basically hired people to make passion project JRPGs, was what they did when they were doing the hiring for the studio. I want to see what their third game looks like, so to speak. Because if you look at Final Fantasy, let's just go ahead and look at the series that made this thing even possible. If you look at Final Fantasy 1 is on paper the most bland goddamn role-playing game you've ever heard in your life. Go and collect 4 treasures of the elements to fight the evil bad guy.
Yay!
Right? I mean, how terribly trite does that sound? From the point of view of 2017, where we've had The Witcher and Baldur's Gate, hell, even Skyrim by comparison. It doesn't sound as exciting, does it? Except for when you actually talk about the fact that Skyrim is a collection of fetch quests and dungeons with no stories. It is. I just criticized Skyrim and somebody's gonna cry.
Well, honestly, Elder Scrolls really only shines like narratively if you're willing to go read the endless amounts of books that appear in that damn game.
Well, you see, there's that, or I could just go buy those lovely books that they sell at Barnes & Noble that have all the in-game text in them.
Yes, but then you're not discovering.
Yeah, I know, you're not discovering.
You're just reading out of a book.
Yeah, I know, I'm reading a book. Which, if I'm playing a game, I don't want to sit there and read 500 books. Because, I mean, it's not like this is Ultima, and it's legitimately fascinating lore.
I don't even know what half the lore is for that universe. I just play the games. I have no idea what's going on or who's important or why they're important.
I know that there's a guy whose last name is Septim. And also there are people who can talk to dragons and gateways into hell, and also that most of these games star prisoners.
Yeah.
Like, all 3 of the ones I've played, you're getting out of prison, or you're escaping from prison, or you're about to be hanged, or what have you. Be original, Skyrim. I mean, Elder Scrolls.
Maybe one day.
Maybe they'll actually have a new origin story for Elder Scrolls 6. That'd be nice. So yeah, Lost Sphere is something I'm really excited about, but I want to see what they do in the future because, again, Final Fantasy 1, not the greatest plot, but by the time they got to Final Fantasy 4, they created, at the time, I mean, say what you want about it now, Final Fantasy 4 was a masterpiece in its own right when it came out. Because it had the signature Final Fantasy melodrama for the first time. And then they had a slip up with 5 because it was not as exciting. And then 6, which is literally at the top of 2 different top RPGs of all time lists this year.
Mm-hmm.
Only second to Chrono Trigger, or just surpassing it, because Chrono Trigger is pretty damn special. But yes, Lost Sphere will be out in early 2018, and if you are a colossal nerd who likes your games to come on proper physical media like I am, I'd recommend you go and get you a pre-order while they are still available at Square Enix's website. Now, let's talk Nintendo, Brandon.
You know what? I want to talk about Nintendo.
What do you want to talk about?
Nintendo. So, we got our Switches. You know, Brad and I got a Switch. You know, we're enjoying our Switch. I've only got 2 games. Brad has many.
I do have a stupid amount of games for my Switch.
Yes, he does. But either way, regardless, we're both enjoying even with my 2 or 3 games, I'm still enjoying things. And everyone's waiting for the online services to launch, which have been delayed until 2018. Yeah, they didn't say early or late or whatever, I don't think, but they just said 2018.
And let's clarify, this is the full suite of online services that they're promising. Because there is online play at this time, it's just not, the full set. It's not fully featured and fully set up online play like we're waiting for.
Yeah, and but I think it was to Kotaku who got the word. There's been a lot of people have been wondering about this whole paid service and what we're going to get. They even mentioned possibly getting a game
each month
for a month,
and that's it.
And
they take it back,
and they take it back. So a lot of people have just been like,
and we've also been wondering prices because
yeah,
Sony and Microsoft have got that $60 price mark, and frankly, I don't have $180 a year to spend on online gaming. I was shocked that I spent $60 on Sony's online gaming this year. Star Wars made me do it. Damn it.
Well, I mean, honestly, it is the best way to go. You pay $60 and you're done.
Yeah, it is. Because everything else is just stupid priced.
Yeah, but Nintendo said that they were going to do theirs for a year, $20. I hope that's true.
That's official for Nintendo. That is actually on their website.
Okay, that's good because that's awesome pricing. I can deal with that, even though I don't really play online all that often, but still, $20 not that bad.
No, it's really
not. The real interesting thing, and I don't know if has it been 100% confirmed that this is what it's going to be, or exactly what it's going to be? Anyway,
it's not describe confirmed. It's not confirmed, but it matches the description as it reads on Nintendo's website. Because it's so vague at this point. I get the feeling we'll have an official word by E3, but this is what it sounds like. Let's clarify. This is Kotaku and our interpretation of the official press release on Nintendo's website.
Yeah, that we there will be basically like Sony's PlayStation Now service, but for Nintendo games. That is not a separate service. It's included in your actual Nintendo online service, and you basically get like this variety of different games to play as long as you keep the service.
And this also includes online play for retro games for the first time in Nintendo's history, which is excellent for those of us who can't find people to pester into playing Mario Bros. 3 often enough. You better get ready.
Well, it's too bad for you that I won't be playing it. Even then, you'll have a hard time getting someone to play. But yeah, that's pretty cool. I would actually fully pay $20 for something like that.
Hell yeah! That's one of those best deals in gaming kind of moments, especially if they keep it up to date.
However, though, I would be really surprised if it's completely like that. I would be surprised if that's how it actually is. It might be something like that, but I don't expect you to be just like, yeah, here's this big, huge list of games. Play whatever you like and how often you like for indefinitely, as long as you keep giving us $20 a year.
It is really optimistic at that to think that it's going to be as good as we want it to be.
Yeah.
That said, and this is coming from, and this is something I actually need to address with this entire set of news, because $20 a year, that's good news. Netflix for Nintendo games, that's really freaking cool. Nintendo has just delayed this thing to 2018. Nintendo, who has not had a solid 100% good online platform for any of their game consoles ever, has just delayed another online service until 2018, effectively 9 months at least after the launch of the system. They can't keep doing this. They have got to meet us halfway with some of these feature sets, because people are really damn sick of dealing with this from Nintendo.
This is my first modern Nintendo console that I've gotten at launch and experienced the whole, so I don't really know what their online services have been like in the past when it comes to them starting.
I will put it this way: I've never had problems when I've played online, but it's never been great, and also hackers suck. I played Smash Brothers Brawl on the Wii, and I'm going to admit it, I'm not very good at Smash Brothers. But even I call bullshit on some of the things that happened when I was playing Brawl. Because I was just losing, and it wasn't even logical with what was going on. Like, hey, I just tried to smash this guy out, and he had 120% damage. I had 12. Then I died. I don't know what happened. So it's never been that great. So,
but they've at least been able to. They've they've had the service there. It may not be good, but it's still there.
Yeah.
Here we're waiting for the services.
The problem also,
and
another
that
problem, and let's address this because this one's more important. Okay, you know how we were talking about how irritating it was trying to get into a game on Battlefront last night?
Oh yeah.
So we could at least, be friends on PlayStation Network without it taking an act of God. Friend codes and that kind of thing have never been enjoyable to deal with. And that's only having like 2 or 3 friends who played Nintendo games online. I could never actually make the system work all that well to be friends with them on the system. It's incredibly inconvenient, and it's something that only Nintendo would come up with. And I understand the logic behind what they were doing. They were trying to protect the children who use their services. But it's not good. It's just kind of crappy. So this will be the first time this will be the first time they do something like that.
Maybe it's fine. I'm fine with it being delayed. I mean, you should have had this shit done when you released the console. But if it means that you're going to have your services actually working and, at least be, at the standards of the industry, then, okay, whatever
it takes
gets done.
Yeah.
But really, they should have had this done when the console launched. No other console has ever launched without this shit in place when, once it became a standard, and you expect it to be there, and it was there.
Right. Well, and that's since it's become a standard, like 360 forward, basically.
Yeah.
Because
I mean,
it's excusable. It's excusable on the Dreamcast, which helped pave the way for online gaming on consoles. It's not excusable. It's hard to excuse now, and I say that loving Nintendo so much that I bought Street Fighter today to help support their hardware. So understand, I'm saying this from a place of love. Get the shit together this time, Nintendo, and I hope it's as good as it sounds. And because they're working from behind, they are, and that's gonna be hard to appeal to for some players who are deeply into online gaming. The fact that it's not ready for... I was actually expecting it to launch with Splatoon, which is coming up in a couple months. And that's really shocking to me because Splatoon's going to be the game that people go to this system for. But at the same time, with them keeping it free for right now, and there is still online support in its in a light way, it's a decent bargain, basically, I think is what I'm trying to say. They've reached a point where it's not ready yet, but we're not keeping it from you at the same time. We're going to implement the solid stuff later, and that'll be it. What is odd to me, and I want to know your opinion on this, voice chat. This has been a lot of the controversy the system seems to court in terms of its online play, is the voice chat. So, Brandon, I'm going to tell you 2 things, okay? I want you to follow along with me. I'm going to tell you 2 things. Act like you didn't know them if you did know them. First and foremost, whenever you are playing online games, voice chat is done through your cell phone.
Okay.
Respond.
That's stupid. I mean, I understand. Everybody has cell phones. But I don't want to use my cell phone to play games, at the same time. I don't want to do that. I mean, most headsets kind of suck when it comes to phones.
Okay, Brandon. All right, so I've told you that. That was your response. You think that Nintendo's insane, that that's a terrible idea, and they should never do something like that, right? Is that your...
Yeah.
Would that be your...
Yeah, I mean, I don't really like it.
All right, I'm going to tell you the other part now, and this is the part that it seems like everybody just ignores in the general gaming public. The system does support wireless headsets, so that whenever you're home playing games, you don't have to use the cell phone chat thing. You can just use your system. Mm-hmm. The entire cell phone thing is for whenever you're playing games out and in public, like a portable.
Honestly, the only thing I ever heard was the cell phone thing. I don't ever remember reading that you were going to be able to use like headsets. Are you only able to use wireless headsets?
Bluetooth wireless headsets, yeah.
That's it?
You can use a wired headset, but think about how the system is designed. That's a great big cable leading from you to the TV.
Well, I mean, let's face. I mean,
but actually, I don't know if the wired ones work at all that way.
See, that's a problem.
Even though, check this out, Hori, they make all the accessories and stuff for Nintendo. They have wired, like, earbud microphone headsets that you can buy right now. One of them's Zelda themed. So I don't know. I feel like there's not enough clarity on the voice chat situation.
Oh, a Nintendo thing not being clear? Say it ain't so. Honestly, Bluetooth is solely relying on that is not a good idea. Most people don't have Bluetooth, and Bluetooth, honestly, it's still not that great of a product. The lifespan of a charge is fucking crazy short. It's not very good. I can't say that I really like the idea. And I understand that. I mean, what choices do you have? Because it's not like the controller has any extra hookups, and that's. I mean, I don't know.
It's really hard to say at this point because it's not like we have it in our hand to really judge it, but it seems wonky from the outside.
I mean, I guess I can't say anything. The PlayStation headset, I think, is Bluetooth.
What, the big one?
Yeah, the one made by Sony.
Yeah, not the one that's packed in the system. It's like a wire.
Yeah, that thing sucks.
Yeah, that's all I've got. You notice that whenever we play an online game, we just get on Skype.
Well, that's what we did this past time. It's a much better experience.
Yeah, it works so well because I have a good mic for my computer. I don't have a good mic for game consoles. And that's not going to change anytime soon because I have a hard time spending $60 on something I use occasionally, you know? Yeah. I use this mic every week, sometimes twice a week.
I mean, I spent $250 on my gaming headset, but I can use it literally with everything.
Yeah, I don't want to spend $250 on a headset. I don't play that much in online games.
Well, I mean, I don't use it just for online games. God, no. I mean, the audio system, I mean, I usually by myself, and there's just no point in using, TV speakers. Well, I mean, I play console games on my TV, but like for computer, there's just, it's fucking on computer. But the audio on these things is fantastic. So there's no point in not using it to just play single-player games, too.
That's true.
Which would make playing games like Alien horrifying.
Yeah, it takes headphones for that.
Because your audio is isolated then, and just to you.
I'm too chicken shit to play that game on my TV. Are you kidding me? The reason I haven't finished it.
But I mean, their most popular model of the Astros is cabled, because it's the most reliable type of interfacing.
Yep.
I've just had too many bad experiences when trying to deal with wireless that I just don't like wireless for the most part. I've actually never had a good experience with wireless unless it's a controller. But then those things are designed and to work and respond to one specific thing without having interference from anything. Headsets, on the other hand, are not. They don't have the testing and all that done. They just pick a channel and just go with it. Who cares if anything interferes with it? Is what it feels like they do most of the time. So I'm just not that big of a fan of wireless.
I haven't had any experience at all, so your knowledge is plenty for me to go on in this case. It's questionable. It really is. I hope that they clear everything up at E3, and E3 is coming soon enough that it's time for Nintendo to break out all the big news, because, like I talked about a couple months ago, that Nintendo Switch release list is looking kind of slim at this point. They need to show us what the rest of the year is going to be holding. I've bought... as far as games that are out, and I'm talking about physical media games, there are only 2 titles left that I would buy.
For a second there, I thought you were going to say there's only 2 titles you haven't bought.
No, there's more than 2 that I haven't bought that are in stores. I have not bought Just Dance, and I have not bought 1-2 Switch. I will not be buying 1-2 Switch or Let's Dance.
Oh, come on.
Excuse me, sir. I like video games. What are you trying
to do? It is a
about?
game. Just Dance is a game. It's a dancing game.
It's not a good game. It's not a game I can enjoy. It is.
It's not in public.
Oh, I did see something before we get into anything else. Cinemora is actually getting a physical release on the Switch.
What was that again?
Cinemora? I might be pronouncing that wrong. It's the Suda51 shmup.
Oh. Okay.
I'm excited about that because it's a Suda51 game. But THQ's publishing it, and it's getting a physical release for $30. I will totally be looking at that when it comes out.
Wait, THQ?
Yeah. Well, you know,
I thought they were
the bones of THQ that people have kept alive.
I thought they were gone.
Yeah, they are gone, but you know, there's still pockets of THQiness around the world.
THQiness?
Yes, THQiness. Do not doubt my terminology, sir. That's a real phrase that real journalist type people use, I guess.
Okay.
I am so lying right now. But no, THQ Nordic, I am not aware of what else they published. I want to say that they're responsible for Dark Souls. Not Dark Souls, but Darksiders.
That sounds right.
Yeah. I think that's correct. We're going to go with yes, that is correct. And they're doing the publishing for this physical release of Cinemora. Which means that we've got 2 games from Suda51 coming out.
Yay!
Big fan. Even though I've not played most of his games. I still want to play the Silver Case for the PS4. Because that just sounds really cool. It's a visual... If you've not heard about it, don't be shocked. It's published by NIS. It's published by NIS, and it is a visual novel, like murder mystery type thing. And it sounds cool as hell. And it's also a port of a PS1 game. It doesn't look like anything else that NIS has ever published. Because I know NIS for publishing things like, you know, all those super niche Japanese anime titles.
Oh God, yes.
I have no problem with that, but man, it's not my speed. It just is not. I like JRPGs, but I like my JRPGs with a nice dose of melancholy rather than humor, which is why I'm digging the hell out of I Am Setsuna so far.
Oh, I mean, they can have humor. I mean, look at Grandia 2. They had plenty of humor, but
yeah, it wasn't goofy. Well, it wasn't usually goofy.
Some of it was fucking goofy, but it was still funny.
Yeah, I like the crack about whenever they're riding around with a giant sword.
It's been so long I don't remember that.
I can't remember the exact joke, but he said something like, it's like, this is the power of X, such and such god. It's 800 feet long and has plenty of leg room. Because it was literally a flying sword. I loved Grandia 2.
So, shame the third one wasn't good.
I still need to play the third one, though. I don't have a copy. I have a copy of the strategy guide. I don't have the game.
Honestly, that game's ending was more offensive than 7.
Oh, man. You need to, like, let me borrow that at some point then, because that's bold talk right there.
It literally ends. Girl standing on cliff. End scene, end game.
Oh,
I didn't like the third one. I didn't
clearly
like it at all.
Clearly, that is true. At some point, I need to play though. I need to get a copy because, like I said, I have a strategy guide for that game because it's like I still need to play this game, and the strategy guide's only $3. and then I've still not found a copy. Someday I will. So here's everything else we got to talk about is a lot smaller, but this was exciting for me, so I want to talk about it on the show for those who are not going to hear about it. There is a game coming out from 505 and Ovoid. I can't pronounce this word. You can try and pronounce that studio name there for me, Brandon.
Nope.
Sorry, Amazing Studio who's making this game. Anyway.
Sonico?
Sonic or something.
There's an O at the end.
Yeah.
Sonico.
Anyway, this fine studio is making a game based on the music of Steven Wilson. And Steven Wilson's a personal favorite of mine. And Brandon, would you call Steven Wilson a favorite?
Yep.
So yes, one of our favorite musicians. And I want to point out the irony that Steven Wilson once wrote a song with the lyric, "Xbox is a god to me," in it, talking about how disconnected and isolated and mentally shut down today's youth is because of prescription drugs and things like pornography and video games. And he's got a video game page.
That song makes him sound so damn, like, religious conservative.
Well, he's not being religious conservative. He's got a
I know he's not, but it makes him sound like it.
Oh. Well, anyway, this game is called Last Day of June, and it is more or less based on the song Drive Home from his third solo album, The Raven That Refused to Sing. Drive Home is not a happy song. None of his songs are really all that happy anyway. But Drive Home is not a pleasant song. It's utterly gorgeous. But the last thing I thought whenever I heard it, the last thing I think I could have thought of whenever I first heard the song was, man, this would make a great video game. But it's going to be an adventure game, and it's going to feature the character stylizations from the music video, and it's also going to feature a complete soundtrack of Steven Wilson's music.
That's awesome.
None of this sounds bad.
We used to say that, is it like new music or just random songs from him?
I don't know. I know that they used Harmony Korine for the trailer.
Yeah.
And I'm sure the song Drive Home will wind up in it, because the plot of Drive Home is the plot of the game. The tagline for this game is, "How far would you go to save someone that you love?" And it's got a Groundhog Day type mechanic where you're repeating the same day, trying to keep your girlfriend from dying. Let's just go ahead and point this out. If you haven't caught on yet, this game's going to make everybody sob the entire time.
Possibly.
This man has written what I would consider the single saddest song I've ever heard in my life. And it has the single saddest music video that has ever been conceived by man. And that song is not Audition. God, what am I thinking?
What the fuck?
That's the wrong album. The song is called Routine, and it is heartbreaking.
I never did watch that music video.
Oh man, no! You gotta.
There's a reason.
You gotta see it, but it's damaging.
It's ultra depressing. No, thank you.
It's damaging, but it's brilliant. It's done by the same artist who did the music video for. Oh God, what was the name of the song? Oh, Drag Ropes from.
Oh, that's he's been doing all their music videos. So
it's a she actually, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay, she also did the one for The Raven That Refused to Sing.
Yes, which was also amazing.
Yeah, I like that one.
Oh yeah, so her Routine video is something else, but it's sad. I showed it to Joe, and she literally looked at me and said, "Why are you doing this?"
I mean, Jesus, look at the fucking album.
The song itself... So this isn't even going to be a spoiler for the game, so we can tell you. Routine is a song about a woman who's lost her husband and child in the same tragic accident, and she has to continue living in the house where they all live together with all of their things basically looking at her. She has nothing else in her life but the memories of these people. It is just damn devastating. That entire album is a masterpiece. It is called Hand Cannot Erase, and you should be listening to it if you have not heard it before. So, yeah, I'm really looking forward to a Steven Wilson video game, but I'm going to get my tissues ready because, damn. The visuals are gorgeous. Also, it's a stunning-looking game. It's going to be an adventure game, and I'm really excited about this. I didn't know that I wanted a Steven Wilson video game, but now that I'm getting one, man, I can't imagine life without it. But he even admitted, though, in the announcement a couple days ago that, you know, he's never been a gamer. I guess Michael Ackerfeld could never get him turned on to a PlayStation. But he played the game and he found it to be emotionally resonant, and that he was very impressed with what the studio had done. So it's got Steven Wilson's seal of approval. That's pretty cool. And I do think it's funny that he never got into video games, even though his best buddy never did. Has always been a well-known gamer, and that's Michael Ackerfeld, who liked Rock Band of all things.
Oh, Lord.
So yeah, last day of June from 505 Games. Very cool. You want to bring up the last thing we had pulled aside? Because I think you said you may have had a thing or two you want to say about it.
What, Bayonetta?
Yeah, with Bayonetta 3.
I mean, I don't really have much to say about it other than it'd be nice. I don't know, honestly. Bayonetta 1 and 2, Bayonetta 1 was like, it was gold. And you knew it was gold as you played it, and you're like, I can't believe this is so damn good. And then Lightning Strike again, and you got Bayonetta 2, which in many, what people consider to be even better. I have it, I haven't played it.
I still need to play both of them.
Because when I did try and play it, even though I was alone, I felt too embarrassed.
Wait a minute.
The game.
How embarrassed were you? How embarrassed were you? Final Fantasy X-2 massage scene embarrassed or worse?
Yes. Because that's what all this. That I swear to God, man, those games, they're so wonderful, and with what they are and what they're doing, and they don't give a damn. They're not ashamed at all. At one hand, I'm like, oh yeah, it'd be cool to have another, but at the same time, it's like, you know, you have two what are considered legendary games in the genre. Do you risk doing another? Yeah, you're there to make money, but at the same time, you have this legacy. Do you want to taint it?
And they have the potential of tainting it because they mentioned in the interview where this was brought up that they might change the main character.
I mean, that's not even like my main problem. It's just, you know, you create another one. You do or do not change the main character. It could still come out a dud. The game could just not live up to the expectations. I mean, I don't know. It's just one of those things. It's like you have these two great ones. Sure, people would like a new one, but no one's, you know, running at your door with axes in hands, demanding another. At least I don't think they are.
Well, I mean, I think there's a lot of Nintendo fans would like to see them make another one. Grounds of, hey, maybe port Bayonetta 2 to the Switch.
I would like if they did. Hell, there's a lot of games I wish they. It's so sad. It's like the one time in history I buy a console and I'm like, that I feel like, God, I wish there was a ton of ports on this thing. Because whenever I look at my PS4, every time they release a port, I get pissed off. Or like a previous generation, it makes me mad. I'm like, you're wasting valuable resources on a game that I can still buy.
Like the last
and play. Yes. And you're porting it up. However, with this one, maybe it's because a lot of this was on the Wii U, and the Wii U wasn't widely, spread out, so it's not exactly easy attainable stuff, especially with Bayonetta.
Yeah, I got so screwed by Bayonetta 2 because I never bought it.
I got lucky that my Walmart had copies, and I sold. Give me now.
It was funny. Like the week, it was 2 months after you got it. They still had copies at Target. And I was like, well, clearly I'll still be able to get it because they had like 6 copies, and then it disappeared in like a week.
Yeah,
like everybody got wind that was the more expensive version. They were like, oh well, I gotta buy it now. So they all went to a Nintendo warehouse to be sealed up forever with the.
Yeah. So it's like I would love for Bayonetta 2 to be ported to the Switch. I would love for Twilight Princess to be ported to the Switch. I would, it's like all these games. It's like yes, port. When all the other consoles, I'm like, don't you dare port. Give me something new. But it's the whole thing about it being a portable console, and I can play console-powered games on a portable system. It's just very appealing that I can get some ports. I give you ports.
Say ports again.
Ports. Port. But I don't know. I would probably enjoy the idea of getting another Bayonetta, but I would be scared that it wouldn't be as wonderful and just all the Bayonetta.
And then you find out that they announced Bayonetta 3 and it gets the very first distributed adult-only ESRB rating.
God. Yeah, that would be on Nintendo's console.
Are you kidding me? I think that Nintendo would actually accept it this time just because, oh my god, the press we get.
Honestly, it's like Bayonetta, one of the great aspects of it is how far to that line it goes, but it doesn't. It's like this gigantic tease, and it's not ashamed about it, and it knows that you just keep playing. And plus, the gameplay is just amazing. I mean, the games are just endless amounts of fun in terms of its combat.
Well, yeah, it's a platinum
and
game.
Somehow or another, they even manage, good stories. It just doesn't make sense. It's like John Wick all over again. It's just nothing about this should work, but for whatever reason, it does.
Yeah, because whenever I saw what John Wick, I remember I watched Movies with Mikey on YouTube, which. If you're not watching Movies with Mikey, you're missing on one of the best YouTube movie shows, period. I think I've spotted his stuff on here before. Anyway, I watched his review of John Wick, and I was like, man, that Keanu Reeves movie about the dog, are you fucking serious, man? And then he starts talking about, how impressive it was, how this was the director's first film, and how the director did all these amazing things with the cinematography and the choreography, and how Keanu Reeves trained like hell to be in this film. And then on top of that, it's actually got a well-executed version of what should be a very silly plot.
Yep.
And then I was like, well, shit, I now gotta watch it.
Yeah, I don't remember why I watched John Wick. I just decided, I was like, this could be entertaining. It's an action movie. But then it completely blew away my expectations. I'm like, this was a badass damn film. I thoroughly enjoyed this film, and the second one's even better.
That's impressive.
It comes out soon, very soon, and I do plan to buy that one.
You don't buy very many movies either, so that's pretty.
No, bad. I don't. And I mean, it's.
You wait for it to show up on Temflix like we do.
I mean, I will do that, but I also I'm like, yeah, well, I'll buy this one too because I thoroughly enjoyed it. It was just a really good film. I've been wanting to see it again. There's just something about a good action movie. When it's good, they're damn good.
And that one seems very impressive.
It was. It even had more humor than the first one. That's the weird thing is that there are these odd moments of humor in them, and they don't really pop up so much in the first one. But the second one just has these moments that you just can't help but laugh at the absurdity of the moment. Like Well, no, it wasn't funny, but it is funny when they start talking about him killing somebody with a pencil. So yeah, but yeah, Bayonetta 3 would be. At least it would be nice to give Platinum, another game to make money off of.
I don't think Platinum's got any problem there. I mean,
yeah, I am happy that they're actually able to still continue doing what they do when Japan as a whole just isn't doing well. I mean, yeah, they've had some recent releases that have done well, but still, it's not like they're back on top. They're still having to climb.
Right. Like, for every Bayonetta 2, we still have Akiba's Beat, for example. Which may even be a good game, it's just the premise is not something I can get excited about, because it's basically strip the action game. So anyway, I think that is actually it for this week. Do you have anything else you want to add, Brandon?
I don't think so.
All right, well, thank you all for listening, and if you're still on the stream, stick around. We've got another podcast we're going to record. But if you are listening to this fine recording on your mobile device or computer, or maybe even your home stereo system with 5.1 digital surround sound or something that you would never listen to podcasts on, check us out next week and join us on our Facebook and Twitter feeds at ZTrigger Live, where you can find out all the things that we are doing and discussing, and maybe, just maybe, we'll have that new YouTube thing that we're doing out soon. We're streaming on YouTube now, so come and subscribe there. ZTrigger1 is the name of the account. We will possibly change that someday if it's possible. I don't know. But we are on YouTube now. We are not using Twitch any longer because Twitch did not work as well as YouTube did this week for our live stream. So,
Twitch is a twit. There you
nice. Go. Nice. That was mature.
Yes.
So anyway, thank you again for listening, and we'll see you next week on the Z-Trigger Podcast. Good night.
Laters.
All right, Brandon. Let me know when you are ready to commence with the book show.
I need to go grab a cup of drink.
Okay, I'm going to continue sucking at Mario Kart. Hey, I'm in third place. I'm tied for... I'm in second, at least. That's nice. Let's see if there's any in the chat. I have not looked at the chat. I don't even know if anybody's watching. Hey, one person's watching. It's Brandon. Be nice if someone was watching. Oh, man. All right. Still racing. I'm probably going to just pause the racing whenever I do my review. Especially since the book I'm reviewing was not that compelling. Oh my goodness, I am actually in third place despite not actually paying attention to when the race started. That's impressive to me, kind of. kind of blue? Why is a witch down at the bottom of the lake? It's so much more quiet now. So anyway, if you have not noticed, and you are actually watching this now, I am not paying attention to my computer to notice. I'm very bad at Mario Kart still. I like it though, it's fun. It's not a game I feel pressured to do well in, since it does not seem like there is a completion type thing I can achieve over time. I mean, I guess actually I could be getting like the stars and the trophies and stuff, and maybe I'll get good enough at this at some point. I need to figure out where all the like shortcuts and stuff are. Like I know there's one coming up here, right here. I usually do that whenever I get on it. Fly right the fuck off. Alright. Bye. One more lap. I'm not gonna get first place. I'm gonna fall out of the top 3. It's gonna suck. Hey. Nice. Oh, hell. I lost just now. Right there. That was it. That was the end. That was really crap. Hey. Right. Oh, what the hell did I just hit? Alright. Yeah, right back in the wall. I learned to drive. Alright, I think Brandon's reviewing Clash of Kings this week. I don't know. I'm still in 3rd place. Alright. Hey, I got 3rd place that time. Nice. That's not bad. Not bad at all. Not good either, but not bad. I just tried out the play an ad thing. Based on complex criteria, some of your viewers will see that. So they don't just see the bronze trophy. Welcome back, Brandon. Welcome back. What are you playing? What are you reviewing this week?
Clash.
Oh God, yeah. My memory's so garbage. I couldn't remember what you're reviewing. So yeah, whenever you are ready to go, we can continue the podcasting. I'm going to review second, because I'm going to actually have to pause while we do that.
It's going.
It's going?
Mm-hmm.
Do you want me to start, or do you want to start?
It's up to you.
I will start. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Z-Trigger Expanded Podcast. My name is William Hill.
I'm Brendan Harris.
And this is the Z-Trigger book review show, and as you are probably noticing if you are watching on Twitch, we are not going to be discussing video games for the next bit of time. We'll be talking about books this time. I clarify that because we are actually live streaming well this week, so just wanted to get that out there. All right, Brandon, how you doing?
Pretty good.
Very well.
Can't complain.
We are. I'm excited to hear your review this week, and I'm actually going to let you go first because I've been looking forward to this moment for quite some time.
I don't know why. You might at this stage you might actually have to help me a little bit because I can't. And it's like a lot of my like initial reactions and everything are pretty much like past and gone. You know, in the because it's been what. It's been a little bit now.
It's been a couple weeks, but
yes,
we'll get you through it because Brandon is going to be reviewing a Clash of Kings on our discussion.
Glass Kings, the second book in the George R. R. Martin's Death series.
Death, right? Song of Ice and Fire, Song of Death.
No. That's just some made up name that he's created to encompass his Death series. His series about death. Though honestly, not that. I mean, people die, and a lot of faceless people, and that final battle.
Oh man, Battle of Blackwater is one of the coolest things I've ever read in a fantasy novel. So,
I mean, honestly, like as I was reading this novel, I mean, of course, it's George R. R. Martin. The writing's great. The writing itself is just, it's great. There's really not much I can comment on that. It's great writing. He has excellent prose, and you don't have any issues with that whatsoever. The only thing you can really talk about with these books is it really is like
characters.
What's going? Yeah. So many of these people, it's like, okay, you spend way more time with Stannis than I really want, because that man is such a fucking asshole. I mean, I know he gets worse, but God, man, he is a complete prick. So at this point, the show has done past this book, so I don't really care much about spoilers.
Yeah, don't worry about spoilers. We'll put the spoilers tag up in here. Spoilers.
So
we got spoilers here.
Yeah. So
nobody cares.
Yeah. I see where you were going there. So in the books, of course, everything is expanded upon. You get a little bit more, a little bit more detail about everything, and I say that, but in a lot of cases, you actually don't get details. You get hints about what's going on, or say when Stannis kills Renly. In the show, you see him fuck the sorceress in red, and the demon is born. In the book, you just have a scene where Catelyn, that is her name, right? Catelyn?
Yeah, Catelyn Stark.
Yeah, Catelyn and Brianna are talking with Renly, and all of a sudden,
correct you, sorry.
And all of a sudden, the demon comes in and just kills them, and things play out. You don't know what's going on in the book. You're like, what? Magic? We got magic! We got magic over here! Because,
nobody cares.
Yeah. Which is odd, because you don't see a lot in this world, and you would think people would make a big deal out of actually seeing it when they typically don't. But they didn't. They're like, wow, what dark thing was that? And that's basically all the response you get to seeing magic.
It's so funny that you mention it that way, because whenever Bran meets the forest people in book 5, that's nothing. I got thrown out of a window once. Nothing.
Yeah.
No big deal here.
So
it's unusual. It's an unusual reaction to magic in that series, because the only time magic is ever treated as something of a taboo is whenever the blood magic's being performed for the dragons to be born in Game of Thrones, and that's it. After that, it's cool. We know magic here.
Yeah, sort of. But so there's a lot of things like there's also in the show you see why are these names escaping me?
Because there's so many of them.
Yeah.
I read it 3 weeks ago.
Robb, you see him get married. In fact, I think his mom is even there.
Yeah, shaking her head like,
yeah,
I can't believe you did this, son.
That is not in the book. You do not see them get married. You're at God. What is that? It's the haunted keep. It's a haunted castle. Anyway,
I'll remember it after you finish.
Yeah, the Ramsay has taken control. Not the dickhead, the other one, and you hear this knight's like sobbing like a little bitch, and he's like, our house has been dishonored, and now I can't marry, and now I'm gonna have to go become a priest, I think, or a monk or whatever they are, and unless I can find someone else to marry, because I'm like third in line, so I'm worthless. So you're experiencing all this through Arya. She's there, and she's just hanging out.
Harrenhal.
Yeah, Harrenhal. And what he's speaking of is that marriage. It happens off screen. You don't even even if you haven't watched the show, you have no idea what he's talking about.
Yeah.
But I'm sure that and the following books you do actually hear everything, and I'm sure Catelyn's actually freaking out a little more in the books than she did in the show.
Oh yeah, she is fully aware just how much Robb has fucked up.
Yeah, and honestly, I guess it's that whole thing of he really was just too young.
He was the Boy King. No, he wasn't even the Boy King,
but he considered
the Wolf in the North.
Yeah, he was just way too young, and he make foolish decisions, and there was a lot of dumbass decisions making in this show, on basically his side.
Yeah, and the thing is, he's still given this heroic color on the page, because hey, he's fighting all the people that we don't like, so that means he's the good guy, right? No, he's making really bad decisions the entire book.
Yeah,
I mean, still like his character, but damn. Even when I read Game of Thrones, and he made the deal with the Freys, I was like, that's gonna backfire. That's not good.
Yeah, of course it's gonna backfire. There's other little changes. At least I seem to remember, in the show when
Brandon, I'm gonna interrupt you. Cut the two apart, because the fact is, you've already mentioned just how great the prose is, and that's really the star here, because everything that you're talking about in terms of differences, the way I see it is that Martin's work thrives on those small moments that the show just can't achieve. So comparing the two it's a disservice to the book in a way, because the show is very good. I can't argue the quality of the show, but like you've already said many times, adaptation and series like this are not friends. So I only say it because I want to hear more about what you thought of the book. Just because I know what you think of the show. I'm honestly, sorry, I just completely ruined that, didn't I?
I have no train of thought now.
Oh shit, I'm sorry. Go back to small moments though, because it sounded like you were headed into talking about how we don't get. I think where you were going, if I'm guessing, was that characters are given more time to actually develop in the book than in the show, because they get violence in the show, where in the book they actually get character development.
That's for damn sure. Which is unfortunate, but honestly, that's just what people want, and which is also unfortunate.
Yes.
And God, man, the people in this world are obsessed with rape.
Rape. Yeah, they are.
God, man, it's if they can, they will. I think that's, and I still find that to be a problem of his writing and the books, is I feel like everybody's an extreme of what real life would be like. Because I have a hard time believing that 99% of the people are assholes, which is what this book portrays. Is that most people, aside from the few people who will eventually die because they're not assholes, are assholes.
Brennan, I'm gonna remind you, you work in retail and you're saying that most people aren't assholes?
Well, see, there's a difference between people being snobbish and people like, if in this book, if you're a male, you're going to rape somebody. That's essentially what this book says.
Jon Snow
Because
never
that's
raped
what
anybody.
happens. Unless you're like a main character, like Tyrion, you're going to rape somebody. Or you have raped somebody. It's ridiculous. Hell, I mean, you can argue that, you know, in future scenes where, you know, Lannister fucks his sister over their dead son's corpse.
Oh my god,
as she
that is
screams
the most uncomfortable
no,
thing.
as she's saying no over and over. That's core rape.
It was rape.
Everybody,
was so uncomfortable.
God.
You just pointed out one of the most uncomfortable scenes in any book I've ever read.
Yes, and that's why I'm like, I still have problems with the series, and I always will. And I am grateful that he gives us downtime, but for the love of God, man, you cannot expect me to look at this guy and go, you know, I'm gonna feel sorry for you. You're going to be a hero now. No. He's a monster. He's a dick. He deserved to lose his hand. He's probably going to... No, he is going to die. I mean, there's no probably about it.
Yes, because Cersei's going to kill him. Cersei will lead to his death at some point.
Of course. She will probably be the last of her people alive, besides Tyrion. I mean, that's already going that way anyway, because all her kids are dead.
Oh, yeah. I mean, she's prophesied to lose her entire family.
Well, because she won't just stop. Stop.
I'm also going to point out how hilarious it is that we're reviewing this series kind of all over the place. Like, I've reviewed books 4 and 5 on here, and now you're reviewing book 2.
Yeah. So, let's see. Thankfully, Tyrion does get a lot of screen time in this book. Screen time. He gets a lot of time in the book. Thankfully, because his parts really are some of the best. At least with him, I know what to expect. Yeah, he does have some tragedy in his life, but not so much in this book. In this book, he's just a devious little fuck. He hand of the king, so he starts cleaning the house.
Yes.
I mean, if you killed a baby, well, you're going to the wall, asshole. You're taking the blame. No, I'm not. Yes, you will, or you will be dead. Let's see. He gets rid of spies with the maester.
Yep.
And he actually, he does do some heroic things, like in the Battle of Blackwater Bay. Yeah, he does what the Hound cannot do. He fucking rides out there with his... Did he have a mace? Or an axe?
Oh, he had it was a mace, I think.
Yeah, bashing people's skulls in. I was like, that's sort of badass. A dwarf. And not in the fantasy sense, is going out there and bashing people's skulls in.
Oh, yeah. He and all of his preparation as well.
Mm-hmm.
Like, all those chapters where it's just him doing and getting ready for war are so much more interesting than some of the other stuff going on in that book. I had a lot of trouble with that one. Like, you powered through that book. It's impressive how quickly you powered.
Oh, I sort of forced myself toward the end there. It's not that I was enjoying it. It's just like all books that are long. It's like by the end, I'm like, God, would you please just end? That's why I do have a hard time reading long books. Is regardless of how much I love it, I just, when you're like 300 pages from a 1,000-page book ending, and you're just like, please, for the love of God, just go away.
You have no idea. Just wait till you get to Dance with Dragons.
Speaking of that's like one of the few hardbacks I actually own.
I know you. So, given your experience with this one, do you think that it's going to be more likely that you're going to give a fair shot to my favorite of those novels, which is Storm of Swords? Like, are you going to be? Are you going to be more ready to read that one than you were this one? Because you tried 7 times to read this one.
Yeah, I started that book because it starts so damn slow, and you have to deal with that asshole Stannis for God knows how many pages because his ass got the prologue.
With the meteor in the sky.
Yeah,
which I thought was a really cool opening, actually.
Which was interesting. It's like every time, it's like at the beginning of the book, every time someone started. Actually, in most chapters, someone mentioned that damn meteor.
Yep.
And all claiming it's something different every time. I still don't think I know what it means. I don't think. Is it still present in later books?
I'm going to be honest with you. I don't think I recall anybody mentioning it in Storm of Swords, and it's definitely not spoken of in the last 2 novels that are out.
Odd. Because it's not like it went away in the book. It's not like it just resolved itself. But I guess right. I mean, if you consider the fact that it was what, a meteor? Is that what the Maester said it was?
Yeah.
A rock. That's probably what it was, and so it just goes away.
Well, yeah, it's a naturally occurring event, but because of myth and everything, that is all of the myth that's actually established in Clash of Kings. It's used as a symbol for so much more.
Yeah. Which, I know you don't want me to compare it to the show.
I mean, I just say trying to limit it. Sorry.
But what I found really interesting is that in this book, you actually start the mythology of A Song of Ice and Fire.
Yep.
The show has no bloody mention of it at all.
Yeah, and I think that's a branding thing. Like, HBO is perfectly happy with you just thinking of it, the entire thing as just Game of Thrones. And I've even had to correct myself whenever I tell people that I'm reading the novels. Like, I'm reading the Game of Thrones. No, I'm reading A Song of Ice and Fire.
Yeah, and it's just a long title.
It is a long title.
And Game of Thrones is so much easier to say.
That's
and it has nothing to do with.
I'm reading.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. I just say what book I'm reading. But I guess it's like with any, say with Dark Tower, we get a trailer that has no damn mention of the Rose, when the Rose is like one of the most important aspects of the damn fucking series.
And they replaced the Rose with a fucking science teleporter.
Yeah. Oh God, is George R. R. Martin going to give us some science? Are we going to start seeing teleporters?
Yeah,
we're going to find out the White Walkers are aliens.
If that's the twist at the end of Song of Ice and Fire, man, there better be a good explanation.
No shit. Yeah,
it's like I can just see it's like George R. R. Martin's trying to finish the last book. He's like, damn, I'm so tired. I'm sick of writing these books. People have been bitching at me for 8 damn years. People weren't bitching at me before I fucking had that TV show. You know what? It was aliens.
Yeah.
Submit.
But it's just why wouldn't you try? I mean, it's not like it would have been that hard to include. It's an important scene that you don't realize how important it is until later on when the big reveal happens. But it's very important, and they don't include it at all. And in the book, it was confusing. Yes, of course, it was. But I'm still glad it was there because it started, just like, hey, there's actually a big overarching plot that doesn't involve all the assholes in this stupid throne.
All for that bloody chair that nobody thinks is comfortable.
Yeah, everyone wants to fight over, but they don't think it's comfortable.
I think if I was voted king of Westeros, I think the first thing I'd do is get rid of the damn Iron Throne.
Yeah. But I enjoyed the book. I'm glad I read it. I'm glad it gives more detail than the show, and I'm wishing that I never watched the show now. Because if I hadn't, I would have already read a lot of this book. I'll probably already read this book. A lot of the reasons I didn't read these books was because of the show. Because I got so damn sick and tired of the constant violence.
And not even the good violence, like the Battle of Blackwater Bay, like the asshole violence, as I think.
Which there is that is in the book, but it's not.
It's not the star of the show.
Yeah, it's not every episode. I mean, it's not every chapter.
Right. Which, I mean, I appreciate the difficulty of adapting a television show, but I'm saying this because it needs to be said. It's hard to adapt something that is as dense and long as a George R. R. Martin novel in the span of 10 episodes, which is the reason why the best seasons of the show are the ones based on A Storm of Swords, because they actually gave the narrative time to do everything it needs to accomplish. There are 2 seasons for A Storm of Swords. By comparison, there's only 1 season for books 4 and 5. The story suffers. No, period.
Oh, lovely.
I mean, there are plot points from those novels in season 6, but I may be getting really mixed up now. But it's not right. Because, but then again, books 4 and 5 are kind of a wash of just noise to me for the most part. I know there's important stuff on the page, but man, that book frustrated the hell out of me when I was reading it.
What's funny is that book takes place after, half the characters have been killed.
Yeah.
And he still had too many characters to write about.
Yeah.
I'm like, dude.
Well, he introduced a shit ton of new ones, So, but yeah.
Yeah, everyone's an asshole. That's the moral of the because even fucking like Rob's I guess best friend ends up betraying everybody because he's a little fucking shit. That's God. Theon is such I have sympathy for what happens to him. And it's like I can't wait for you to be tortured, motherfucker. Turn the page.
Yeah, he really just screwed the pooch on the whole damn thing for everything he wanted to do, and it never got any better. Well, I guess in the show it got better. In the book, it hasn't gotten better for him yet.
Yeah, I mean, he basically commits
treason.
that one trope that's in every. There's a lot of fantasy stuff. Is the character, thinks he knows better than his elders and does what he wants to do instead of what they tell him to do because they know better not to do what he's going to do. There's a fucking reason why they haven't taken Winterfell. There's a reason, and now you're learning why. And now you get to find out what happens when you're a dickhead your entire life. Because he's literally been a dick most of his life.
At this point, I know him as Reek so much that I don't even remember young Theon from season 1. I just remember Reek. There is only Reek.
Basically, it's like, oh, here's a woman. I will sleep with her and ruin her life because I can. Oh, here's Winterfell. I'm going to take it over and kill everybody that I have spent 10 years with. Okay.
Yeah, whenever
really?
Even I thought that was just really dumb whenever I was reading it. I was like, man, this is a stupid idea, and you are acting stupid for doing it. And I think that even may have been part of the reason I thought that book was kind of frustrating.
It's like, I'm going to be a prince. No, you're not. Your dad doesn't trust you or like you.
Yeah,
because as
their
much as
family
you,
their family bullshit isn't even that interesting until book 4, whenever his sister tries to become the king.
oh God, not another one.
No. She wants to be the king of the Iron Islands. Well, queen.
Oh, okay.
It's kind of cool, actually. Like,
Well, people like her.
yeah, her story is really cool in that book. I just wish it had gone more interesting places than it did, because
Too bad she's gonna die. Because they all die. Eventually, everyone dies.
Brandon just thinks it's gonna be a couple of dragons at the end of book 4, 5, 7.
No, the dragon's gonna die too.
Fuck the dragons too. There's
Fuck the dragons.
There's just gonna be one White Walker.
Yep. And he'll be like, "Now I am the ruler of the Iron Throne." Fuck you people.
And then he goes sitting, and then he goes to the Iron Throne, and he's like, "Fuck this," and just goes and sits in an actually comfortable chair.
So yeah, I don't know when I'll read Storm of Swords. It might be a little bit, it might not. It really just depends on my mood. Because I mean, as quickly as I read, Clash of Kings, it still took me a while.
I mean, and the funny thing is, Storm of Swords is longer, but I've read it, and it's the fastest I've read any of them. Well, I'm going to cut you off, and I'm going to review my book. How does that sound?
Okay.
I'm also going to hit my microphone. I'm going to stop playing the game for now. Sorry to the people who are watching this. I have to concentrate a little bit more because I'm reviewing.
Your Iggy is losing his mind.
Yeah. Well, he's still pissed off that I got 4th place. I'm a little mad about that too. So the book I read this week is not a novel. Instead, I read 2 novellas from the legendary American author Ray Bradbury, who most people know for his novel Fahrenheit 451, which is an excellent novel. I think I actually reviewed that one here on the show. Loved that book. Not as impressed by this one. So this is a collection of two novellas. It's called Now and Forever. I got it at the Wake County Library book sale here a couple weeks ago. And the 2 novellas are called Somewhere a Band is Playing and Leviathan 99. First off, Somewhere a Band is Playing. Each of these stories actually comes with a short foreword by Bradbury talking about the inspirations and the history of the stories, because they both took him a very long time to finish and release the way that he felt was most proper. So Somewhere a Band is Playing is inspired by his childhood. And the story is about a man who hears that a town is going to be destroyed to make way for a highway, so he goes there to tell the people in the town. When he gets there, to this tiny place called Somerton in Arizona, this community has no children. The residents are permanently young, and he is drawn to this town and its mysteries. And he's there to warn them of what's coming, but they invite him to stay and to be young forever. And he has to make his decisions accordingly associated with that. A lot of what drives the story is the nostalgia for small towns, in a way. And it's written with wonderfully poetic prose. It's an absolutely the writing is gorgeous. The story itself is kind of loose and it's fast, but at the same time it's meandering a bit. It's not the best story I've ever read, but at the same time the prose makes it worth reading. It's Ray Bradbury's tone and writing at its finest in many ways. It's not a great story. It's worth reading for the language. Mm-hmm. It's also short. And I mean that in the context of it being a novella. Like, it's the longer novella in this set, but because of how it's layered out, it's actually incredibly short. I read it in about an hour and a half. So I can't really say more about Somewhere a Band is Playing without telling the ending, and I think that that's a story that's worth reading from this collection. If you're gonna look for, I mean, this is not Bradbury's finest still, but it's still very good. But then you have Leviathan 99. Leviathan 99 started out with Bradbury's love for Herman Melville, who is the novelist who wrote Moby Dick. He wrote the screen adaptation of Moby Dick, if I'm not mistaken, based on this. It sounds like he actually did write the adaptation. Mm-hmm. And he wanted to see what it would be like in a science fiction setting, because Ray Bradbury is known for 3 things more than anything else. One of them being Fahrenheit 451. Another is his Martian Chronicles. And, of course, the other is Something Wicked This Way Comes. So he always had this idea kind of roaming around in his head about doing a sci-fi Moby Dick. And he finally did like a stage play of it in the 70s, and he said that it was terrible. And it went over very poorly. And this is the final culmination of this story, finally coming out in 1999, I guess, based on... Or, no, it takes place in 2099. This came out in the early 2000s, before his death. So what year did this come out? Just to make sure I'm nailing that right. Yeah, 2007 was when this finally came out. So this story was kind of gestating in his mind for over 30 years. It's not good. It's kind of tedious and nonsensical, and I didn't follow it, and I did not like it. I've read reviews where people liked it a lot more. I did not. This story has a starship captain who has gone blind, hunting down a white comet.
Oh, Lord.
Yes.
Did it take his eyesight?
Yes, it was so bright and beautiful that it stole his eyesight.
Are you being serious?
I'm so serious. Well, not just bright and beautiful. It's bright, but it also destroyed things on his last ship. But he lost his eyesight. There's a time travel element. This story's not good. Also, Ishmael is still the name of the main character, and he lives with a giant green spider.
Okay. When you said, Moby Dick in space, I didn't think you meant literally.
It is.
I mean, I thought you meant like it would be inspired by, not literally take Moby Dick and put it in space.
And the thing is, I've seen that done in comedy in a more, dead accurate way. Like, Futurama did Moby Dick in space, and it was a space whale. So at least Ray Bradbury tried to make it serious and did a more convincing job in that way, but I could not follow what I was really trying to get out of the story. Maybe that's because I've never read Moby Dick. I have a copy, and I need to, I guess, for literature's sake, but it doesn't click for me. This story does not click for me at all, and I wish that it did. I did not like this novella, and where I read... So this is a 200-page book, this collection of novellas is. I read the first 120 pages in a single sitting. I had to force myself to finish Leviathan 99. And it took a lot longer because I kept stopping and thinking, my God, this is not over yet. It's a very disappointing second half to what it would have otherwise been an excellent collection of novellas. I like short stories. I'm trying to read more short stories for my own writing work. I'm trying to see what a good short story looks like and what a good novella looks like, because those are things that publishers buy. And as a novelist, I need to try and follow the market. And to follow the market, I need to also have read good versions of those mediums. And Somewhere a Band is Playing is a lovely novella that I would never try and, use as a source of inspiration for how to tell a story in novella length. But I absolutely would not draw inspiration from Leviathan 99 at all. It is not a good story. It doesn't even have... the language is not at the same level as Somewhere a Band is Playing as well. It's not very good. I think I've said all I can really say. This is easily the weakest thing I have read from this author, but that's only 2 things so far. I still need to read The Martian Chronicles and Something Wicked This Way Comes. And that's just what I know off the top of my head. Because I don't know his bibliography as well as I should. And glancing inside the cover of the book, I don't know most of these books. Sound of Thunder. I like Sound of Thunder. That's the other thing I've read. I really like Sound of Thunder. And The Illustrated Man, I know. Okay, so there's a few others, but I need to read more. I need to read more Bradbury. I think everybody should read some Bradbury. This is not a good place to start. Go read Fahrenheit 451 or The Illustrated Man or The Martian Chronicles. Leave this one alone, unless you really like Bradbury's work. That's all I really have to say about the book, unless you want to ask me any questions about it.
No, I mean, honestly, I can't say that I've actually ever really been like a huge fan of Ray Bradbury. So
I've always liked the Sound of Thunder. I thought that was an excellent story, and I thought Fahrenheit 451 was amazing. And people do not understand that book whenever I hear people talk about it, because I feel like people I hear talk about it are not very smart. Especially now that I've read it and I know what it's about, because the general consensus, well, not general consensus, a lot of people try to claim that it's a book about censorship, and it's not. It's more about, let's see if I can find the right way to say this. It has got so much more to do with how television and the things that people see on television have brainwashed a generation, and also completely dulled their sense of emotion and being. Because the main character he saves books, quote unquote, by memorizing them. And he, after reading books for the first time, he actually feels emotions. He feels sadness, and that makes for and that's what's causes that distance between him and his wife, and because she's like spending time with her family on television, who are not even real people. It's a book. It's about what our world would be like without literature and without actual fiction of ideas. Even, it's excellent. It's not about censorship, though. That's not the reason why they're burning the books. They're burning the books so that people stay dumb. All I could think about when I read this, and if she hears me ever say this, I know that it would not make her too happy. It reminds me too much of my sister, who listens to New Kids on the Block and watches American Idol and thinks that's perfectly fine television. But it's not. Like, Ray Bradbury has written screenplays, if I'm understanding correctly. So clearly he doesn't have an issue with like film as a medium, but he has a problem with the dumbing down of a people. So I didn't realize that I was turning this into a semi-review of Fahrenheit 451, but go read Fahrenheit 451, damn it, it's one of the most important novels ever, and it's a book that is absolutely vital to even modern, like, what we're dealing with now as a people. And it's a book that was written, 50 years ago? Easy?
Yeah, 1953, so more than 50 years.
64 years ago. This book is relevant 64 years later. That is a sign of damn good science fiction. Whenever it's still completely relevant 54 years later. 64 years later. So yeah. Brandon, you haven't read Fahrenheit 451, have you?
Mm-hmm.
Gotta get on that, man. Gotta get on that. It's good stuff. And it reads really fast. It's a short book and it reads fast. Alright, well, do we have anything else that we need to bring up before we wrap up?
I don't think so.
Alright, then. let us close this installment of the Z-Trigger Expanded Universe by inviting you to join us on our social media pages at Z-Trigger Live on Facebook and Twitter. We are also now on YouTube doing our live streams and hopefully some other video content here in the future. And I apologize to the person in the live chat. Whenever I had to do my review, I had to stop playing the game. So, sorry, came in very late there. Subscribe and we'll be playing more next time and during the actual podcast recording. So, yeah, but come back and check in with us next time. We'll see you next time on the Z-Trigger Expanded Universe, and good night.
Laters.